when is your wife due?
We are due end of the year, like December, coming up.
Mm.
We got some people coming in. We're about to have a party in here. Hi, Amy Perez. Would everyone mind? I'm going to rename myself to Ben Splash. Would you mind renaming yourself to your company? So go to the participants tab. Oh, can I not go to? Can we not rename?
Oh, you say would you say rename to our business name?
Is that okay, or is that not? Is that not kosher?
Yeah, it's cool with. I mean, sure.
I guess what I'm asking, I can't seem to do it from. Usually, you can do it from participants. Room parent Rachel, are you allowed to help us, or?
I can, yeah, of course. What do you want? You want to just be
I'll
Ben?
unlock it so everyone can rename themselves.
What would you want yours to be?
Ben Splash.
Ben
Ben,
Splash.
comma Splash. Okay, so I just can't because I'm the speaker. I'm special. I get
You
it.
can't because I've made you co-host, so I'm changing yours right now, but everyone else is changing theirs. I can see.
Okay, cool. Great. We're going to have a fun, this is going to be a fun one. It's the end of the day. If you feel like grabbing, bottle of water, bottle of beer, just roll with me here. This is going to be a fun one. I have what? So I'm starting in 9 minutes, and I have 45 minutes. Actually, here, while I have you, we're going to begin the process. I'm going to ask all of y'all to be my guinea pigs. So here, one sec. I'm dropping this in the chat here. So the way we're going to do it is very collaboratively. So check out the link I just sent you. It should link you to a Google Sheet.
You must have only done it to one person.
I must have only done it to Bob, who's been texting me one off. Slide into my DMs, Bob, you sly dog. All right, here you go. Okay, I just dropped in Google Sheet or Google Doc sheet. So if you could jump in and put your name where you're at on that spectrum on slide 1. So where are you in that? Are you totally out to sea? This is about, here, I'm gonna make this clear. Where are you at with your stack? Yes. As you think about building a technology stack, where are you at in this spectrum? Just drop your name in wherever you're feeling good. Drop your name here.
Dumb question. I don't know how to get.
Here, you can take mine, where I just wrote drop your name here, or you can go up with the text. You can like copy and paste. See where it is? You can take mine. Just move that where you feel like you are.
Well, except Bob took it. Thanks, Bob.
Oh, Bob.
Bob, jeez.
Today. Here, I just duplicated it for you. So you have 2. You can have that one. And then if you feel like going to slide 2, this is kind of like, this is going to be, we're all going to have this afterwards. It's going to be a collaborative thing we're all going to build together. So if you feel like just dropping some thoughts into slide 2 as well, after you put your name in, that'd be awesome. Ooh, like that. And thanks for dropping your name. You don't have to put your name on the second slide, but I kind of like that you did. How fun is this?
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hello. I'm
Do you
Melissa.
remember me?
I didn't see you there. How are you?
I'm good.
Took me a sec. I'm like, how are you? Good, nice to see you.
I'm the one typing all the, yeah.
I was like, Melissa, I know that name.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up. Should we throw in some music while we're hanging out here? What's the song that people should roll into? Assuming anyone else comes, which is
Well,
cool.
I'm in the Bay Area, so we should play Beyond Thunderdome by Tina Turner because we look like we're in Armageddon.
Oh, I love it. By Tina Turner?
Yeah, from Mad Max.
Wow. I can't.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I found it. I got it.
Showing my age.
No, you're good. All right. That's a good call. Into it. SF, huh? Are you in the city right now?
I am. It's not very fun.
No, it's not.
It seriously looks like we're in Armageddon.
Do this like actual Armageddon, like not
Yeah, I'll
just.
show you. Hold on.
Wow, that's literal Armageddon.
Yeah, that's the smoke.
That's 2049. That's awful. Wow, I had not. Celsius 2. Dang, Bob. Denver 2? What's going on here, huh?
Sarah, how does one keep up with that?
One does not. It's pretty much crash and burn. Just wear lots of layers.
Holy smokes. Oy.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as global warming.
It's a hoax. It's a hoax, guys.
Right.
No, we have like 100-year-old trees down everywhere across the city. I'm surprised I have power right now. It's
Don't say that.
a shit show.
You're here. We love you for showing up.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm excited.
Cool. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're really happy that the heat wave ended because you can't have your windows. We have the worst air quality in the world right now in the Bay Area.
It's
You have
like,
to have like whole home air purifiers.
I just ordered one on Amazon, a HEPA filter.
Ugh, yeah, good.
wow, it was nice to meet you, man. Have a great one. Thanks for hanging in. It was fun having Bob here. I'm gonna miss him. Wow, it's beyond. I feel like we're gonna need for when it's like getting ready to go. I feel like we need like something like not pump up, but like a little like disco. You know? What's the disco jam we need? One? Come on, Amy. I'm looking at you. You know some disco.
But, I just keep thinking about the Atomic Dog.
Atomic Dog. Okay, I'm into it. You're saying like Parliament Funkadelic.
Yeah, I think that's who
That
that is.
feels on brand. It feels on brand. Yeah, this is gonna be
I felt inspired. I think that's, yep.
exactly what people were rolling in. It'd be kind of cool if it was just us. We're gonna get into it, and I'm excited. This is more me learning from you. But just to throw it out there, I've been working on this presentation for like 3 weeks. I've been really trying to learn Prezi, and I use this as a forcing function.
Is this Prezi?
I'm gonna use Prezi.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
And it might screw up. It might screw up. We're gonna learn it. I'm
Does Prezi pull in from Google Slides?
no. So here, I'll show you. I'm about to. Here. So right on my screen, you see what I got going on here?
ooh, what is that?
Yeah, I'll keep this open. It's fancy.
Is Prezi what's over your video?
Yeah.
That's what I've been looking for.
I'm
You've already taught me everything I need to know.
You showed up to the right place. I've been thinking a lot about this one.
Ben.
Who's that? David Stevens.
Hey, hey, hey.
You don't even need to change your name. Oh, Darcy Gabe is in the room. Got the whole crew. Wow. We all.
We got a lot of splash people.
Oh, man. No, those aren't my. Well, they are splashers, you know, in their hearts. But they're my like. We flew to Italy together. It was a weird.
Yeah, it's a bonding experience.
Oh, did you do the Tuscany trip? My partner went on that trip.
Exactly.
It was like PTHD, post-traumatic happiness disorder.
Exactly.
Life was never the same again.
I love that. I've never heard that. Hashtag?
David, I'm expecting the same from your wedding.
Yep.
So if you've just joined in, I'm going to ask you to do two things. First, I want you to change your name to include your company or your passion, whatever that might be. And then I just dropped a link into the deck, into the chat, with a collaborative deck that we're going to work on together. That's what we're going to be doing. And I'm also going to be presenting as many thoughts as I can. I'm going to wait for 1 minute for those latecomers. Otherwise, it's us, and we're going to rock this. I'm just excited to show you what I made on Prezi, because that's why I'm here. So yes, if you can, slides 1 and 2 we're starting off with, and then we're all going to do some of the later slides later. If you want to peek, you can, but you know, surprises are fun. For slide 1, put your name about where you are. And for slide 2, where am I? I think I'm actually over here. And for slide 2, just let her rip. Follow the instructions. Cool. All right. I'm going to turn off this music. Well, welcome everyone. You made it. I get to do a cool presentation for you. Okay, so this is the deal. If you don't know me, my name is Ben Hindman. I am the CEO of Splash. It's our mission to make it easy to host events. And so that's what we're gonna be working on today, trying to make it easy for all of us to host our events. And if you are here, and you are here, you've made it, you are probably swimming in demo requests. Anyone here swimming in demo requests, searching for that perfect virtual solution? As we look at slide 1, we see that there are varying degrees of people who are here, but I have been following the space really closely and seeing that there is basically a new solution breaking into the market pretty much every day. And I've taken it upon myself to try to learn as much as I can, try to do as many demos as I can, because I own a tech business and we need to stay smart on this stuff. And actually, I've been taking a lot of help from our community. When quarantine started, a lot of the people in our community were compiling a list, looking for the top platforms out there, and it became a very long list. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to synthesize that list and walk you through how I've tried to declutter it and clarify it and simplify that list. And if you're just joining us, do two things. Change your name to include your company so we know something about you. We love having you, even if you're not camera ready. And if you feel up to it, click the link I just dropped. All right, and we're gonna get started here. So I just wanna look at slide number 2 and kind of read these out loud. So the questions here are, what is the most important thing when building a virtual event tech stack? I see engagement, brandable experience, intuitive experience, empowers the sales team with data. And I'm over on the right-hand side, similar stuff. Make it experiential. We're looking for something that drives connection, is collaborative, is effortless. I would ask that throughout this whole conversation, if more things come to mind that you're looking for, this is for all of us. I'm just gonna leave this up for all of us to take with us. And so throw your stuff in there. You know, when we were building out that list, we heard 2 different things. First, we heard that I want to create a differentiated attendee experience.
Stop. Ben, what are you using right now? How are you making this stuff pop up?
I'm using my voice, David.
No, you know what I'm talking about. On your screen.
Oh, this. So
yeah.
this is Prezi. If you're interested, I can do a little screen share in a bit, but I'm personally trying to arm all of my sales team with this. It's an old piece of software and it's really, I figured it out. So if you want to do a Prezi demo later, I'm psyched to show you. But yeah, I'm going to show you what I did on Prezi here. So yeah. So before I was so rudely interrupted.
It's conversation.
I know, you're right. My bad. Well, I was having a conversation with myself. I'm doing all the conversating, Dave. Okay. These are the 2 things we heard. I want the attendee experience to be seamless. I want it to be differentiated. I want to stand out. And I need my data to be connected, right? And it seems like that's a lot of what we're seeing there on slide 2. So as we started breaking it down, we tried to look for all of the different elements of a virtual event tech stack. I mean, can you believe that all of these things go into making a virtual event. I want to walk through each of them. But I think by show of hands, who thinks a virtual event is harder to do than a live event? Show of hands. See, about half. So the rest are you IRL people. I feel you. Okay. So let's walk through each of these. So what I tried to do in this framework, which I can send to you, is I tried to break it into pre-event and post-event. I'm going to do this so it's a little easier to see. So let's start off with the pre-event. So within pre-event, the objective, of course, is to get the right people, find the right people and get them in the room. It's the same objective as it was in quarantine. Only now you don't have free booze. You don't have a live concert necessarily. You usually have to rely on data targeting and clever copy. And lucky for those of you who use Splash, we do most of this. We do all of this. We handle it right out of the box. And we'll talk about the things that we do in a bit, but promotion, registration, guest list management, and virtual check-in. What we've started really focusing on is how we connect to the virtual event. So all of the stuff I just mentioned happens before the event, and then Splash connects the promotion to the event itself. And the way we do that is we integrate, we embed, or we link out to whatever streaming or meeting software you're using. So you can choose really whatever software you're looking for, and the idea is that we can integrate with it. So then during the event, and these are all the things on the left-hand side here, during the event, I find that there's really 4 broad categories to look at when you're identifying functionality. So, and really, if you use these broad categories as like ways to evaluate what tech you're filling and what needs you're filling, I think you'll find that it ends up mapping pretty nicely. So we're going to dive into each of these. And I think to start, the best way to do that is to talk about the solutions that we found that are specifically addressing each of these different categories. And then we'll zoom out and talk about some of the applications that are actually handling both. Okay, so, or handling combinations, I should say. So let's start off with streaming. So if you want to deliver a virtual event, it starts with streaming. We all know that's what I'm doing right now. And most of the time, we take our streaming for granted because it gets packaged up with the virtual solutions that we're using. But in fact, there's actually a ton of variance in streaming quality, in opportunities for customization, and in how you can build and even tag or track the content that you're putting out there. You can see some of these on the side here. I tried to call out pieces of software that specifically build for developers or to be customized. So these are streaming specific solutions, and there are a lot of different platforms that are really trying to innovate specifically in streaming. By the way, I can send this afterwards if you don't get screenshots. Happy to share this. Okay, so then the question is, on top of the streaming, do you want to create great presentations? So of course, to keep an attendee's attention, you might need dynamic screens or branded footers or animated charts like you're looking at, right? Or fancy video packages. And so one thing you could do for sure is you could hire a team who is proficient in the more complex version of open broadcast software, OBS it's called. It's what they use for TV productions. But what we're seeing right now is an evolution in DIY OBS, open broadcast systems, or open broadcast software, excuse me, who are working to deliver transformational presentation experiences right on the screen so you can level up your keynotes. As I mentioned, I'm using Prezi, and this integrates right into Zoom. And you're seeing a lot of these just coming out, and all of them. I expect that this is going to start, this combined with interesting conferencing software is going to be a really cool space to watch. Okay, next, and a lot of you all talked about this, do you want to enable meaningful engagement? So, of course, the real value of live chats and polls, like we're looking at right now, is that you get a better sense of who's in the room because they're responding to stuff in real time. So it makes an invisible audience visible, you could say. And so in that way, a lot of these companies here, they're building engagement right from the keyboard. And for some of them, they're looking to help you build a conversation that continues on your company's channel and can ripple long after the event has happened. So, it seems that this space seems really simple, and I used to think it was simple until I started researching it, but the potential for innovation in here is huge. There's personalization through chatbots and using that data. There's natural language processing. There's search that you can layer on top. You could see this space becoming a bigger and bigger deal, especially as you think about continuing the conversation. Okay, then just before we kind of talk about the applications, this is a big one. Do you want to create conversation? Do you want to create more intimate dialogue? So taking a step back, we don't have our serendipity at our networking events, like meeting on a, yeah, thank you. Someone just said, Mara just said, you can also go on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, LinkedIn events is amazing. A great solution for what we're talking about, for breakouts in collaboration and engagement. But anyway, yeah, in a virtual world, your job here is to create a path to help people navigate into a focused conversation. And so these are some of the companies that are specifically looking to innovate in the breakout and meeting space through like meetings or collaboration. And in my mind, this particular one, and I'd love to just pause in a moment, but this is the one that is the biggest opportunity to unlock. Once somebody unlocks this, once a virtual event can mirror what happens in a real event, in my mind, we will have entered into like a brave new world, a seismic shift, if you will, of virtual events. So what I mean is the ability for us to really find the conversations that we're looking for. So I'm going to pause for a sec and ask that we jump into the deck and go to slide 5. And so, I just talked about 4 big buckets, but I'd love if people would take some of these words and start to plot what elements of a live event you are focused on shifting to virtual right now. And as you can see, I made an axis here, a nice to have and a must have, and perfect solution found and still looking. So if you drop just even 1 or 2 words into this, into 5, I wrote, so again, what are elements of a live event that you're looking to move into virtual? And while we're doing that, does anyone have any questions or thoughts about these 4 categories? Again, we've gone through streaming, presentation, engagement, and breakouts. Any thoughts? Dave, any color commentary from you here?
I will say one of the things I'm hoping to accomplish today is we're doing our event again that we did back in May, and now the question is how do we up level it? And yeah, I think one of the things I'm really looking for is like somewhere that hosts all of it, and then maybe it just doesn't exist yet.
Well, let's get into that. That's actually what we're talking about next. What I've seen so far is that to combine, I have not seen one that combines everything perfectly. And certainly,
Hoppen's pretty close.
I was going to say, I think that they're getting pretty darn close on it. Who said that?
Melissa.
Melissa, tell us more. How's that going for you?
So we used, so I ran an event on July 30th called Subsurface. We used Flash, and then we used a Zap link to push everything over to Hopin. Hopin, the thing that's really cool about it is it's built on its own technology. It's a new platform. They're innovating every week. They have new features. But the thing that we loved about it is everything is live. It's not built to run recorded sessions. It's built to run everything live, and it's built for you to be able to do live Q&A with your attendees, and not where they're doing it in the chat, where they're actually like lining up, like you would line up at a mic. And you can see everyone that's in your booth. You can have one-on-one conversations. You can have one-on-one conversations with the people that are in your booth. Everyone's prompted to turn on their cameras and their microphones in the portal so that you really feel like you're engaging with the audience and with the attendees, both from a sponsor perspective and from a host perspective. When we ran it, they didn't have the chat stream or the attendee stream done in the booths. That launched in August. So now if you're a sponsor and you're in the booth and you're watching like the people tab, that's the people that are in your booth at that moment. And you can literally like put your cameras up next to each other and talk to people, which I think is been lacking, sorely lack. I mean, I was monitoring a booth today on one of the other platforms. We didn't know who was in our booth, when they were in our booth. We didn't have any cameras. We couldn't talk to them live. We couldn't schedule one-on-one meetings. None of those pieces were there. And just with every week, Hopin is getting closer and closer and closer to having everything. They do not want to be a reg company. So their reg portal is horrible, but if you can use, you know, a splash and integrate with Hopin, it's a very seamless process. We had 5,200 people register and 2,600 people attend our event.
Can you play recorded content? And then the other thing is, does it compete with Zoom?
Doesn't compete with Zoom. I think the functionality of the two is very different. We're going to use Zoom for some of the stuff that we're doing, and we're using Hopin for other stuff. You can run recorded sessions. It's a little clunky right now, but eventually, you can do it. We pre-recorded all the sessions in Hopin in the rehearsals for all of our speakers to have them as backup in case of technical difficulty. We ended up having to run one, and it was very easy to do.
Amazing. All right. I want to move into this exact conversation because let's move into the combinations, which is what we're talking about, what Dave's calling out here. All right, so this is how I see it. I think there's like 3 buckets to look at. You got the social streaming, which basically handle I'm just going to zoom in here. Social streaming handles the streaming, and then it handles the engagement side. And of course, the important part of it is that you have the audiences built right in. So the question is, if you're taking advantage of these live capabilities, they might not have some of the bells and whistles, like say for a virtual conferencing software, but with a distribution built right in, really important, really interesting to look at. Then you get into the webinar space. And I left out breakouts here, although obviously you can have some simple breakouts using Zoom. But for the most part, these are the tools that we're all already using, we're all familiar with. And in a lot of ways, you know, I guess I would push back on Melissa to say that Zoom and Hopin aren't competitors, in that I do expect that, you know, they're not competitors today, but I do expect that some of these companies are going to do a lot of innovation, and we're already seeing Zoom really move fast. So I'm excited to see what some of these companies can do to catch up. But I think what Dave is talking about and Melissa is talking about is what, you know, is this conferencing software space. Now, I will say here, I'm just going to zoom in a bit to some of these names. I was kind of blown away with some of these. I don't want to do any favoritism here, but I got to tell you, there were a couple in here. I tried not to put on any that I didn't demo and that I didn't think were pretty darn awesome. And I'm just calling that out. There are a couple that are different and differentiated, and I am seeing some innovation in this space. I think it's going to continue to evolve. I haven't seen anything that is perfect, but to Melissa's point, I think people are innovating in here fast. I guess I want to pause for a sec. Does anyone want to rep another, but other than Hopin, who I think Melissa repped pretty nicely, which is great. No, I love it. Any other pieces of software in this space, or really in any space, even in the point solution side, that anyone wants to rep and say, hey, I used this and it was pretty darn awesome?
Not to be self-serving, but Zoom and Splash worked with Salesforce, and Slido is how we did our conference back in May. And now we just did a replay event of our event in May for the people who didn't make it. And the integration, where now basically when someone checks in, they get an email with a link and it checks them in, and it actually pushes that check-in all the way through Salesforce. So now you can tell who attended your Zoom event without having to go into Zoom and check in. And everybody has actual names. There's no like iPhone is attending. That was a big win. But it was still like, you know, we have a little customer called Cisco, and they're like, well, we don't want to go to a Zoom meeting. We want to go to a WebEx meeting. And I'm like, ugh. So, and there's still some security concerns around Zoom, and even the way we did it was piecemeal, because we sent a PDF out to everyone with different links for each of the breakout rooms that were different Zoom links. So like today's event is really nice. It's slick. There's like a skin, and you just click, and then the Zoom link is already embedded in there. But you still have to open Zoom, which would be cool as if it was embedded in there. So I feel like we're getting there. I'm curious to see how this evolves as well, because I feel like that at some point there's going to be a tool that Reg and that stuff might exist on its own, but all the other stuff feels like it at some point will be a singular solution, or there will be an actual stack.
I agree with you. And I did not plant that, but thank you, Dave. Anybody else? Anyone else want to rep a piece of tech? All good if you don't. And for those of you who just joined, I see people kind of coming in. I just want to point you to the link. We're all kind of collaborating on excuse me. We're all collaborating on a document here. Anybody else want to just throw in anything? Has anyone been experimenting? Oh man, I want to see more experimentation out there. Okay.
We're actually going to use Twitch.
Oh, when?
We are doing these events where we want our open source leaders to, like a gamer would on Twitch, like go in and show tips and tricks.
Yep.
And we feel like it'll resonate with the developer community. And so we're actually going to run some sessions on Twitch, which
love
you guys are about to get an email from me of how do we make this work.
No, we embed Twitch. Well, look, you know, at the risk of getting self-serving, let's talk a little bit about our strategy here. So, you know, if you didn't come for this, you can tune out. Look, when COVID started, we realized that there was a lot to do. And so our goal was to simplify and make events easy. That's our mission here. So we try to reduce complexity, focus on two things: the attention gap and the data gap. Let's start off with the data gap. So, you know, there's so much great information at our fingertips here. And the question was, how do we make sure to capture it? You know, there's a quote here by Tom Guns. I don't know if you can read it. It just says that he's one of the leading VC, and he immediately called out that there was so much data to allow us to serve our customers better. But of course, that means leakless trackings. So our goal here was to make it so you could just choose whatever tech you're using, and either we would integrate with it natively, and Dave, that WebEx it's on the roadmap. I'll let you know when that's coming in natively. But if it's not native yet, you can just include it as part of your stack using a small company called Salesforce or whatever else you're using. Sorry, Ali's here. I just want to shout her out. Okay, hey. Or like Dave was talking about, you can embed it. Melissa, you can embed Twitch at this point. And so you can literally have a branded frame and still capture all that check-in data. So that was the data gap. Then we went after what I call the attention gap. And you can read here, the average person gets 5 times as many webinar invitations as they actually attend. So the question we were trying to ask is, how do you be that 1 in 5? And for those who've been on a community call, this is something I threw out very early. In my mind, this is the game. In a world where we are competing against TED and NBC and YouTube, our only way to make this thing, to really reach out and find the customers that we want to get in the room, we need to make our events interactive. And that's really hard. I think we're all finding how darn hard that is. But it needs to go at the bottom of our tech stack. This is the pyramid. This is our pyramid. It goes interactivity, then value, then entertainment. And so what we tried to do was make it so you could, we've released several themes now, several new templates with interactive moments built right into the promotion, really calling out, bringing people in, getting them to, actually Ali taught me this move from Salesforce, asking people to speak early in the process, right? Getting them to host content, getting them to contribute content, getting them to answer a poll, just getting them to invite a +1, trying to get people to actually pay attention to the event you're throwing means asking them to participate in that event. And in my mind, it's simple, but if you can get your promotional sequence to be interactive, you're actually going to accomplish, you're going to get people's attention. That you're going to be that 1 in 5. And then, the other thing that we really started focusing on, and this is a little bit more of like, in my opinion, so I'm just going to throw this out there and you can take it or leave it. A lot of the tech that we've talked about so far, and we have a couple more collaborative things to throw out there, but I want to offer that one of the best ways to make events interactive and to make them great, it's simple, it's just make them smaller. And I think we're trying that, right? You try to have these small focused conversations at your bigger events, but I want to offer that like more smaller events is just easier to build tech stacks for. And obviously bigger events reach more people, but smaller events have a better attendance rate. They're not impersonal, they're not anonymous. They're just definitionally interactive. And so I really want to urge us all to think about many small events in a simple tech stack instead of one big event. Now that said, I know that we do need to nail this one big event. So I get it, Dave. I get it. You got to have that big event. But if you ask Dave too, I mean, Dave, I'd love you to speak to it. How are some of your smaller field events going?
Yeah, the field events have been great. And actually, I just put in the chat, I can throw the link in there. The CMO from Salesforce, who she just said that, they spend 60% of their marketing budget on events. They're going to small format, quick junket events, not all day things, just quick hits, and that they're going to like start trying to build 50% of their website with customer content. So yeah, there's a big change coming, and the 3-year roadmap is kind of dead. Now it's a 3-month roadmap, she said. But yeah, we're completely pivoting. We're probably, hopefully, going to actually hire an additional field marketer in the next like 60 days. Hopefully, I probably just jinxed it and ruined it for myself. But either way, field marketing and targeted events, it's still relevant. It's still super important. They're coming up more than ever right now, and I hate that I said more than ever.
Let's not let that last comment go, just let that pass by. You're saying in this quarantine COVID times, as an event marketer, you're hiring another field marketer. I mean, it sounds like you actually transitioned to a virtual space that actually you've delivered value. Am I getting that?
Yeah, we just we saw the writing on the wall, and we knew that just because people are craving getting together now, that craving is at an all-time high. So if you can give them a compelling reason to show up, they'll make the time for it. And if
Are you doing in person? Are you doing in person or all virtual, David?
It's still all online.
Yeah, that's what we're doing too. We found that the field has lost that white space where they used to build the relationships with the people. It wasn't being pushed in Zoom meetings and webinars and sales calls. And so we're launching, as of October 1st, a whole set of in-market, regionally based virtual events to help replace that white space that's gone. Because I think that's, when you're looking at pipeline, that's what we're all trying to do in the end, is build pipeline. And so, I was really excited that the budget was all approved for a lot of in-region virtual field marketing.
I love that. Great job. Let's not forget, as event people, we are in the eye of the storm, and that you're adding budget is kudos, super kudos. I'd love to hear any other voices who, I think the reason many of us came here is to talk tech. And I try my best and can share these slides. Oh, by the way, I dropped a link in there. Here, I have one more quick activity for us to do here. I thought maybe this will help us spur a conversation. Everyone go to slide number 9. Let's go to slide number 9. And you'll see that I added in, if you wanted to put an X or some sort of, put your name even on this, the question is, what is preventing or blocking, right? I wrote this, blocking your perfect stack, I'm gonna say, blocking your perfect stack from happening. Is it that you just don't think the tech is out there? I put that in technology requirements. Is that you don't have the internal alignment to get this done? Do you not have the resources? Do you not have the experience to put this together, or is it something else? And if you don't feel like jumping in the dock, we'd still love to hear from you. So the question is, what is blocking you? What is preventing you from getting your perfect stack from happening? Perfect tech stack, by the way. Speaking of tech stack, doing Google Sheets mid, very tech savvy. Okay, who wants, anyone, I'd love to hear, wow, thank you all for filling this in. This is really great. I'm seeing 2 in internal alignment, 3 in technology requirements. See 1 in resources, 2 in expertise. I want to ask anyone who's in the expertise. I see Amy and Pietrina, if you feel like it, and you can drop it in the chat if you don't feel like speaking. What do you need? What do you need? What kind of expertise do you need? Is it just someone you need to hire internally, or is there someone on this call who can help you?
I mean, this is Pietrina. So from my perspective, I'm a creative director, and I'm trying to understand when we do go back to physical, how to marry these things together. Like, what would be the best platform to have something on the show floor that could tie in the virtual experience? That's what I'm trying to sort of sift through these different platforms that have popped up seemingly in the past 6 months. Which is the best one for physical engagement?
Wow. Does anyone want to speak to that? Amy, it looks like you have something to say. Oh, no.
I was just going to respond to the first question.
Okay. Okay. Well, Pietrina, can you ask it in a simple way? It sounds like you're saying, what's the best platform when I come back to real events? Am I getting that?
Yes. So how would you, so everyone's going to get used to these different platforms in the next, 5 to 6 months. Then you start to have the physical events come back. You don't want to lose the virtual attendees. Which one seems like it's going to align itself with being like good for both when both are happening? And maybe it's open-ended.
Well, I can tell you our strategy on it quickly before we move on to Amy's point. I believe that the tools you're already using, like Zoom or whatever webinar, our strategy is to make it so you can use Splash plus those things, because I do think that the innovation cycle on these larger companies, it's going to be enough. You're going to have enough inside some of these bigger ones. Do I think you should experiment with a large, especially if you add in some of the plugins that I talked about earlier in the presentation. If you took, Slido plus Zoom like Dave did plus Splash, you're there. And so that's my recommendation. I do think you can find some for the moment, and there's some great pieces of conferencing tech, but I would do your best just to keep it simple. And I'll keep on trying to build so that promise comes true.
Part of the reason why we used Hopin is because it's a platform that we'll be able to pivot to hybrid events with, because you're able to connect in with live camera feeds. In fact, for our keynotes, we did that already. So we would be able to run the event virtually in Hopin and live on site using a tool we already had. That was a big piece of the puzzle when we were choosing a platform as well, was how do we then pivot to hybrid from virtual? Because it is going to happen. We're going to have to offer everything hybrid moving forward.
That's a great answer. I think that thinking about the hybrid next step is huge. And that's a great point. Great point. Amy, hit us. What are you thinking about?
Oh, I'm just tech curious. I'm not an events person, but I just started my own business, and so I'm planning on hosting events or contributing. And my main events person is not in the nitty gritty of creating the tech stack. So I get really high level information without this deep level of detail, which is what I'm super interested in right now. And so I want all of your lists, because I don't know. I'm just really fresh.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for joining. So, first time caller, first time in events. All right. We'll follow up with that. And I can also send you the list. I'll make sure that we follow up with all these resources.
Great. Thanks.
Anybody else? Just anything else? We're kind of, so again, if you're just joining us, this is our collaborative tech deck. One other thing I'd be interested in, I'd also be interested in seeing, if you go to slide 8, I don't, after hearing, it feels like this isn't the right question anymore based off of our conversation today. But something I am interested in is who is experimenting with best of breed solutions, like the point solutions I spoke about in the beginning. I'm going to pull up that again. Versus all-in-one. And it sounds like at least David's looking for that all-in-one. I'm going to pull up the, there you go. And while we're doing that, if anyone has any comment on that or their answer to number 9, sounds like internal alignment is a bigger deal than I expected.
I think it's probably the big Zoom scare that happened in the very beginning. And so now IT departments are super watchful. I'm speculating, but I mean, for the people who said it, can you confirm, deny?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear.
That's part of it. This is Darcy. So I work for an insurance company. So since we fall into the financial sector, it's a lot of risk and data security. So like I fell in love with Remo and tried to get it through our IT, and it was not a positive outcome. So we're still on, we do have Zoom approved now. So we are using Zoom, Conferences.io, Pickles, to kind of, all of our programs are internal. So we're not looking for like a sales push. So it's all within our environment.
That's helpful. I saw Tess raised her hand. Tess, you want to get in the game here?
Yeah, I do, Ben. Thanks. I'm so.
What's up?
Hey, honey. How are you? I know I came a little late, but it always kind of shakes and disturbs me when people approach it from what's the platform first, instead of looking at their content and how they want to deliver it and utilize the platform, choose the platform based on what they want the outcome for the attendees to experience. So, and then also to this question about all-in-one, in my mind, there is no all-in-one because nothing does everything. So I'm just a bit, even within our own community, us out there doing things, keeping our ears to the ground, still have the concept that there's an all-in-one, or there's a solution to hybrid, or there's a solution. No, everyone's still learning. Everyone's still figuring it out. Because even if you knew something, it changed because there are all these people who are asking and having these new needs.
Yeah.
So,
a great point.
I didn't mean to be on a soapbox, but I just.
Well, I think you saying nothing does everything is, we're all getting that tattoo. We're making t-shirts. Nothing does everything. I guess
that was the same with in-person events.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing different there. Nothing did everything with in-person events too. We were all using all different tools to bring our in-person to get events together as well. So, I mean, I guess that's why I'm a little bit more flexible on like piecemealing, cherry rigging things together to make the attendee experience the best, because in the end, that's my #1 priority.
Allie, what is your top priority right now technologically? What are you thinking about from a tech standpoint?
I think we've had a lot of the same issues with IT risk in kind of moving quickly. So we've been kind of relying on some of our vendor partners to experiment. I'd say scalability for my team. I kind of mentioned in the chat before that we've done these kind of like a lot of small events in person before COVID, and now we are shifting them virtually and have had honestly tremendous results. So it's just kind of staying ahead of the curve and having that seamless attendee experience. We're doing a lot of the wine tastings, those kind of things, like how to make that process smoother with the kits. I don't know, I'm just like kind of rattling things off the top of my mind, just trying to stay ahead of the curve and have the attendee experience be.
Ali, I saw you did something recently that I'd be interested in the thinking behind it. You released a survey.
Yeah.
I've made it to a level where I get asked as a CEO what Salesforce, what I feel about from the Salesforce event program. I'm curious, any insights, any surprises from that survey you're willing to share here?
Yeah, it's early results still. It just went out yesterday. You can do a follow-up. But one of the things that surprised me, we had rankings for what is most important in a virtual event. And I thought for sure the networking piece was going to like rise to the top. We constantly get that feedback in our surveys after events, and content and presenters was still number one. So I don't know if it's just one of those things that people don't know what they want until they, experience it. But like we were kind of ready to go all in this virtual summit that we're working on reimagining right now on the networking piece. I think anticipate if we don't, people will say. So that was just one of the, I thought it would.
Last year, at the very end, we heard, I think, all of that. Fascinating. It's still a thing. Content is still a thing.
Yeah, I think you still need to have that balance with the content. Yeah. Fascinating. What was the earlier presentation today? I didn't attend, but content is queen. I liked that.
I saw that. I'm curious if anyone out there is interested, or how do I ask this? I want to know if anyone is searching for one of these, like if anyone solved networking. Let me ask that question. Has anyone solved networking with their event tech stack?
What do you mean by solved?
Have you created a scenario where people in your attendee list meet other people in your attendee list, and it actually sticks?
So we did an HD session for the event and brainstormed for Birds of a Feather post event, and then we had everyone go into breakout rooms, and we capped the amount we assigned the breakout rooms, and we could only have up to 25 people go in the room, and then they were highly, I'm going to say, facilitated in the sense that everyone had to talk. So there was a room moderator that made sure every single person in the room spoke. And it really helped people actually connect with someone. And there was a lot of follow-up afterwards, which was great in our community site. And then we had a really fun impromptu thing where as breakout rooms ended, they would come back into the main Zoom room, and we had conversations with them like you were seeing people in the hotel lobby. That was the most organic thing I've experienced so far in digital.
I think if you're just paying attention to networking and you don't care as much about presentation, using a service like Braindate is a good option to have kind of random pairings in small groups.
Someone mentioned Remo. I checked out Remo. I thought it was just awesome. These are the ones that I found that in this space.
Yeah, I've seen Remo work really well, even with attorneys. I was working on an event. I'm sorry, I know you didn't call on me, Ben, but I was working on a group of attorneys. So if you can get attorneys to do networking within a technology like that, I think anybody can.
I found that Circles was awesome. I don't know if anyone's seen Circles here. I agree. Braindate's, Icebreaker. I've tried all these, and they definitely work. For smaller events, for sure. I think they're pretty darn great. Ooh. EventCore has a new networking tool, Twilio embedded. Darcy can show it off, but she had to leave. Good to know. Thank you, Rachel.
Icebreaker just came out with a new thing as well. So we're doing it for a customer prospect event.
Yep.
And you can now send out different links, so you can kind of control the matchmaking. So Icebreaker is one-on-one video chats, timed video chats. And so we're sending all our customers one link and all of our prospects another link. So when we go into the matchmaking, they'll always match with the customer with the prospect.
That's just terrific. I mean, that really is what they needed to win. I'm telling you, if you haven't used Icebreaker, it's still up there for me. You know, one that I've been keeping track of, has anyone seen Welcome yet? Seen the system?
Is that Tigers? Tiger.
Look, I bring it up to say, I put that in the presentation section, or I'd say that, excuse me, I'm sorry for jumping so fast here. This isn't, so I put Prezi, oh, darn it. See, my Prezi's out of control. I put Prezi in the same bucket as, I was going to get to the presentation.
Yeah, welcome feels very OBS.
Very OBS, which look, I'll tell you what, I just, Vin Social, do you know this company, Vin Social? It's a wine tasting company. Here, sorry, that took me so long to get to. Oh, I just did it again. They, here you go. It's a wine tasting company. They built their entire business on welcome. And look, as I've been using this system here, it feels to me like there's a lot of opportunity to create engaging things on screen. And so as I think about like even just branded footers for your reps or cool content during a presentation, I'm really tracking the OBS space. That's an area I think is really interesting. The other one that I'm interested if anyone's played with is, has anyone used Drift on in the engagement space? It's something I've been seeing a couple times here. And so these are some of the ones that I've found that are interesting in the engagement space. I'd be interested if anyone's played with any of these. So I heard Slido. Has anyone done Slack in a larger event yet? I'll give you a thumbs up if you're off camera. Or Drift, again, I wouldn't have expected that, but Drift is a sales enablement tool. And I'm seeing that actually being used in these events. I put Kiko Chat. I didn't know what Kiko Chat was until this thing. Anyway, someone just said, oh, question. Okay, great, thank you. And we're almost at time, but I'm hanging until y'all wanna bounce here. Question: brand markers on OBS tech. Are you implementing for yourself for smaller events, or to use a production vendor? That is an interesting question.
I can elaborate. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Please, what do you think?
I was just saying this is where I guess I'm kind of most fearful to experiment right now with the scalability of our events. We do so many. Yeah. Having a vendor kind of adds up. So like I'm trying to debate, like, do I want to try something like Prezi myself, or do I want to hire someone to run that content so I know it goes off without a hitch?
I'm going to push you here, but does anyone have an answer to this that they want to throw in there? I want to tell you, I think with a designer, you need one designer. That's my answer. You need one designer, and you probably need like Happily, if you know Happily, these kind of like admins, right? And I think for the first couple, bring in an admin that helps. I mean, Rachel, our parent Rachel, a room parent here, it's awesome. It helps a lot. Right. And that's not so expensive. I think with the types of, using the ones that I have up on the screen here, or sorry, my last slide, the presentation one. Look at Welcome. They're not bad. They're really bringing the queuing software into the space, but it's complicated. And even no matter what, you need a tech vendor. I don't know. We can go follow up offline, but it's not. I don't think you need an OBS right now, unless you're doing a big event. Unless you got Benioff on stage, do it. Anyone else disagree with that?
Ben, I have a random question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, I'm doing consulting work, but I've been in corporate America for probably the last 20 years. And a lot of my consulting clients right now are having just a terrible time with the tech stack issue. I mean, I had a horrible issue when I was working for a tech company and led a global event marketing team. It was sales versus marketing all the time. We probably were spending minimum $250,000 to $500,000 in tech stack that was randomly used all throughout the company. We were trying to consolidate it. What are your best efforts on explaining to someone on the corporate side or as a consultant who's dealing with corporate? I joined this so late, and I'm sick that I missed the majority of this call, but I feel like every time I talk about this topic for IT and for tech stack, everybody wants one solution. And I don't necessarily believe there's one solution for any given organization. Maybe there might be, but I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it work successfully both across sales and marketing organizations. So do you have any recommendations on how to start having those conversations? Because whoever said it earlier about the internal alignment, I've been in those meetings. They are painful to no end on trying to get some new tech stack and really trying to understand live events versus hybrid events and what that information can bring back to the organization on how it's growing the revenue.
So Mike, My best
That's
answer,
a bigger question.
it's a great question. And look, I want to direct you to Tess, because I think Tess actually could be a really great answer on this. And she had something, she said it earlier, nothing does everything.
Yeah.
You're right. Nothing does everything. So start there, and then start with the idea that next idea is that if you simplify things, especially for sales, and I think this is what Allie's talking about with scalability. If you simplify things and you really make it out of the box, and here I'll put this back up there as a reminder for, oops, sorry, here you go. No big events.
Right.
It's been my credo. I think you can actually, they're just better events when they're small events, and they're easier to pull off, and you can use your existing tech stack, and you're done, right?
And do you think the number of people for a small event is 20 or less, or 10 or less?
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think it's 6.
Okay.
I think the perfect event is 6. I know, and that's small, but what, then get 10 in there, and you'll get a drop-off rate.
Right.
Right, but that's a real, that, especially when you're dealing with a sales rep who isn't really able to, isn't the best necessarily at owning the room. Now look, could you go up to 20? Definitely. 25, you get into that zone. Once you get past 40, I mean, look at this screen that we're looking at right now. How many people do we have here? Just to get a sense, these are 19 people.
Yeah.
If you target correctly, especially, and you're using Salesforce, you're targeting, you're getting the right people in the room, 19 people actually being engaged, actually on camera, is a way bigger deal. So that's, then you're just not even in a tech conversation. Look, and I'll just add, there's just a ton of point solutions that you can use with your existing tech stack, like a Slido, like a Slack, like a Google Sheets, like I'm using. Like it's not, it's not that hard. I want to also just call out though that if you do want to go bigger, if you wanted to have a big experience that feels like a full day thing, I'll pull back up the list. There are a lot of people who will, I will say, are not enterprise ready. I guess what I would do here, I'm just going to share with you. The best move in my mind is to look at the companies in this list. I'll zoom in here. Oops, dang it. See, I'm still learning, everyone. Bear with me. Look at the companies in this list and see how long they've been in business. From what I can tell, anyone that was around pre-COVID is pretty close to enterprise ready, because you better believe they had to be. And anyone who's come out recently is just getting enterprise ready. That's been like, that's a rough rule. And so look, I'll let you know, Shindig was around before it. Remo was around, Hub was around, Meeting Play. Verbella was definitely around. I don't know if you play with Verbella, it's hilarious. It's like a video game with an avatar. It's unbelievable. And then look, you got like the new players are going to be like Big Marker, Welcome, Run the World, Hopin. I can't tell about Predella. They're not, I don't know much about them, but they seem like they are really having, doing some interesting things. Like fun, collaborative stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, it's just, you run an event team and they go up against a sales organization. And I was pushing, when I was at a tech company, pushing the salesforce.com and putting all of our information in there so we could track all of our sales leads and our marketing leads. And we were just fighting with sales because sales was feeling that the events organization was taking away the relationship. It just went through a whole mess. And so everyone felt like sales needed their tech stack, events needed their tech stack, and like nobody was really talking it. That's the big issue. That's the problem in corporate is that internal alignment. And I was hoping you had an answer, but I know it's a much bigger question.
I'm just going to show off a little bit because I'm still on Prezi here. Here you go. We recently launched our approval flow. Oh, this is the old approval flow, but I'll still show you. Where basically you have sales asking in and getting approved, and it actually approves which tech they can use, right? And then you approve it, and it basically creates it creates all the stuff out of the box. David, please stop slobbering on your keyboard. I know that the Prezi is very cool. I get it. I just focus on the content, okay? Sorry. But yeah, anyway,
David, I'm so excited. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm excited about like that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Especially for what Mike was saying. I'm sorry. Mike was saying, which to me means that people are going to have, IT is going to have to realize that they need to create a budget for people to just use smaller tech, if you will. They don't have to have tech that goes, Microsoft, that goes across enterprise. Especially if we're gonna move to what I call the new hybrid of doing regional and local events. You don't need all of that stuff, right? You need simplicity, but you still have to create some kind of thing that's engaging. And those big boys are not gonna do it. And most people realize that when they try to do a virtual event in Teams. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're right. It's exactly right. Like, I'm going to show you one more thing because it's so cool. This was the innovation that we came out with. Last thing, I promise. This is our innovation when COVID happened. It's basically the confirmation message. The way that we allow sales teams to work with their existing tech, it all came down to the confirmation message. You deliver a link in that confirmation message. It's a personal access link. It's a unique link. And so it allows you to fully track that attendee. They use it once, then it closes down the gate. So this link leads you to a gate that is only open and available once concurrently. And what we do is we check you in and check you out and sync that up with your Salesforce, right? And then on the other side of that link, it's cool wallpapers. So like you can really brand this up. And Ali, you were speaking a bit about scalability. One thing I would call out, I mean, especially if you used a Prezi and a splash wallpaper, but you might not even need it. Putting their name, using the splash wallpaper just to put their name, maybe some sort of content, you can make it feel special. And so that was our thinking here. That's our innovation.
Really great. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for asking. Since we're here, any other questions? Anything else that's on people's minds? Or should we all go eat dinner? I was the last one of the day, so it means a lot that you stuck around this long. Well, listen, I'm Ben. Thank you for spending time with me. If anyone wants that Prezi deck, I'll just forward you the Prezi deck. If anyone wants like a Prezi tutorial, I'd be super happy to do it. Just email me. I'm Ben at SplashThat. Really, all I'm thinking about is event tech. So if you have tech that you're evaluating or questions you're asking, one more quick thing, just to let you know, keep that link. I'll reshare with the group here. Keep this link. I'm gonna use this exact link on every talk I do coming up. And so it's going to keep on evolving. We're going to get a bunch of event planners adding to it and putting in their thoughts. And I'll include the deck link in this link. Cool?
Thanks, Ben.
Awesome. I'm getting all of your emails, so I'll follow up afterwards. Thank you all for being so collaborative and diving in. And it's just great to see your face and all the oxytocin in my brain is flowing. So thank you. This is lovely to spend time with you all. Stay safe.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.